Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Meet Your Delegate call that we're hosting with mhonkasalo, Teemu, and the ChicagoDAO team. So first off, we're going to start with Mika and Teemu, who are going to present their delegate platform. We're going to give them about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll have a space to answer questions, and then we'll hand over to the ChicagoDAO team in about half an hour. Please note this meeting is being recorded, so please try and avoid any interruptions and keep your microphone on mute when you're not talking. And feel free to raise your hand if you've got any questions you want to ask, or put them in the chat, and one of them will ask them for you. So Mika and Teemu, who's presenting the slides? Who do I need to add as the co-host? Mika, okay, I'll get you added. Okay, you should now be able to share your slides.
Sorry, actually everything closed for some reason. Let me just quickly.
Mika, do you want me to try sharing them? Because I think you sent them to me earlier. Oh, maybe we've got them now.
Yeah, so sorry, it's just showing now clearly. You can see my slides, right? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, thanks for everyone taking the time to join us here. The structure for our slides here is just to first introduce ourselves, why we're doing this, and what we bring to the table, and then some focus points for MakerDAO and how we're approaching them. So more than specific issues, we also want to really show how we think through problems and what our way of operating is. There's a two-person delegate platform. So me and Teemu, we're working together as a team on various protocol research efforts. And one thing we've noticed projects that we followed for a while and sort of are these blue chips in the space is that more active delegation is required, and we hope to be part of the solution there. Both of us are longtime Maker holders and have followed the projects basically since its inception and are now excited to contribute in a more active role. You can think of us as the kind of DeFi and crypto native folk who can get pretty deep into the weeds on both the technical and financial side of a lot of protocols, not just MakerDAO. So as background, many of you may know me from Twitter, but I was a researcher at the block, basically writing a lot about the DeFi market, more of the technical side, things like scaling. I've also made some community tools such as the first compound and balancer liquidity mining calculators. And for the past year, I worked at Parafine Capital on the investment team. And now I'm taking a more independent route as a researcher and investor.
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity to be here on my behalf as well. So my name is teemulau. My background is from Slush, which is one of the largest technology conferences in the world, organized in Helsinki. I was there as one of the main organizers between 2015 and 2018. And I also pushed crypto content quite heavily, organized some crypto-related events. I think MakerDAO has actually been at Slush a couple of different times. Then I joined a startup, a real estate focused startup as a CFO. I was the 10th employee. I was there 3 years and the company grew to roughly 50 employees. And I left the company last September and have been focused on crypto and DeFi research ever since. So, Mika, I think these are.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No,
I think it's the wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just one moment, pausing share. Okay, now resuming.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Yeah. So why do we want to get involved in the MakerDAO? Well, first of all, we've long have the view that stablecoins are the most important use case in DeFi, and as Mika mentioned, we've been following Maker for a long time and view it as the leading stablecoin protocol. Stablecoins have a market cap of roughly 150 billion, which is very tiny compared to all money existence. So the market opportunity to grow is still huge. Secondly, MakerDAO needs a lot more active delegates. We have a situation here where we have a lot of large token holders, specifically funds, that don't participate in day-to-day governance. And at the same time, we don't have that many active delegates. So that creates an opportunity for new delegates like us to step in. Thirdly, it is in our professional long-term interest to do protocol research and governance professionally. And we view the recognized delegate program as a great first step enabling this. And we also think that the program itself could extend to other projects in the future. There are other DeFi protocols that suffer from the exact same problem. So we see ourselves perhaps building a firm around research and protocol governance in the future. And then what do we bring to the table concretely? Well, we believe we have a deep understanding of the crypto and DeFi industry. We've been involved since 2015, of course, starting as a hobby and obsession, as many others. And I think having done the deep dive to Maker the last weeks, it's clear that there are incredibly smart people involved in the project, and we are not that deep in Maker obviously yet. But I think what we definitely bring to the table is a really good understanding of the industry as a whole and many different projects. Secondly, we have a growing distribution in different channels like Twitter and Substack. This applies specifically to Mika right now, as he has been professionally involved during the couple of years in crypto, and I'm doing my best to catch up here. Thirdly, we are committed to active participation in governance and promise to clearly express our opinions and be active in voting. And of course, we bring a long-term mindset to the table. So we have lived through bear markets. We have never exited the industry completely. We have stayed invested and interested and obsessed about different projects. So it is a commitment from us to stay involved. And long-term, as mentioned, we see ourselves building a firm specialized in protocol governance.
Yeah, then to sort of muse on the things that are focus points right now for Maker and some of our thoughts around it. But obviously the first step is sort of finding the North Star here and aligning and communicating a growth strategy that really the community can get behind, and large token holders who haven't been active so far can also get behind. I think there's plenty to do here just on the communication side, but in practice, I think for us, it also means that we'd be going deep into the financials of, for example, a proposed fundraise. Our thoughts are that debt financing is better, and the details just need to be ironed out on what that means for MakerDAO going forward in terms of its risk profile and how attractive that kind of thing is. But I think that's the kind of practical example where we'd be deep in the weeds helping out. A problem we see really is a mismatch right now between some MKR holders and those who know really what's happening day to day. And I think this is sort of a two-sided issue with Maker holders first not being active until now, like maybe a bit more, we're starting to see those steps, and this is what we're hoping to drive as well. And then as well as like the complexity of the Maker system overall. And we sort of want to be a bridge between what's happening and what's happening there. And I've noticed sort of from my personal experience that even large holders may not be up to date really on just what specifically is happening and like on the day-to-day level, how Maker is moving towards its vision. Yeah, so there has been like some appetite for this recently. I think it's good because like the bear market sort of brings everyone back into focus and really back into these problems, and that makes for the opportunity for much healthier growth also going forward. There's been quite a bit of discussion on budgets and the profitability of the system. There's the positive side is that there's quite a bit of runway and there's sort of no need to panic, but I think in our voting, we'd like to emphasize sort of financial discipline and restraint, and only letting things through that really improve the protocol and that really make a difference on the sort of P&L, either in the short term or then something that's really strategically valuable over the long term. And then one of sort of our hobby horses is just how Maker is communicated, how the vision of Maker and how excited people are about it within the community versus sort of the broader crypto community and people in DeFi. And I think there's a large delta, and that's why there's a huge potential as well to really change how the market views Maker. And Maker has held its position really well as the main protocol by TVL. So there's obviously a massive opportunity here, and it's really difficult to start a competitor. So I think all the positive pieces are in place, and I think overall, like, positive community sentiment, then that leads to more people wanting to integrate DAI as a default option, and which obviously increases fees and gets us into a positive cycle. And then one final point that we've noticed over researching everything is that it's clear that Maker is sort of showing the classic strengths and weaknesses of a flat organization. And to improve this, we are aligned with some other community members where delegates should have more of a board type of role and helping out the strategic vision. And then the core units themselves, who are doing a great job, should have a better control over like day-to-day things, and so that it's not a lot of time doesn't go into micromanagement, but sort of governance in a way can be minimized, and day-to-day decisions be left to those who are doing the best and understand like those situations the best. Maker's in a very different position than lots of other protocols, because like Uniswap, for example, has Uniswap Labs that really drives the development, but this is very different. And I think there are some things that Maker suffers from because of this very flat organization and could improve upon, but also, it is also a strength for the protocol that it is a real DAO and moving forward that way. And yeah, just to give like the highlights on our opinions also on a couple of key topics, is that we strongly think the B2B model and the D3M module type of approach will over time contribute a lot of revenue to the system, and that is how Maker can best strategically position itself within the ecosystem as this sort of wholesale lender to other protocols and projects that are able to bring in, so that Maker doesn't have to specialize in a lot of those things, but Maker can provide the infrastructure for others who are more specialized to take over those initiatives, and DAI is the backbone that funds those. Then, yeah, as delegates, we view our role as being sort of active, obviously, in the weekly polls and executives, and clearly communicating our thinking. And looking forward, I think the value add in really contributing to specific strategic initiatives where sort of with quality over quantity in a way, where we're really able to hone in on something that's very important and help out there. And yeah, like I said earlier, we actually wouldn't mind sort of giving core units the opportunity to handle some things more day to day, where not every decision gets voted on. And as delegates, we think it's just more important to have the big sort of vision of Maker holders, being sure that that people are aligned with the vision, and that Maker holders are participating in that. And we don't actually really believe in like forced participation in a way, but the market more taking care of these things, and that people will find sort of the incentive to really participate as long as there are people and ways for them to really do it, and in a way where they feel like they're on top of things. And yeah, finally, sort of relating to a bit of the external community excitement as well, we do think that a change in approach to token economics would be useful over, maybe not now, but over the longer time horizon. Like right now, the most important thing is to invest in growth, even if the system was sort of profitable at the moment. But the buyback and burn has been okay, and it's attractive during times when Maker prices are low. But overall, we think that like the future token economic model should take into account more users who are in some way active and in some way taking on risk in the system, and that really like benefiting those MemKR token holders is will sort of drive better actions going forward. yeah, those are sort of the our high level thoughts, and happy to answer any questions.
That's great. Thanks for that presentation. I'll just open to the floor. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them.
Happy to break the ice. So obviously reading through your platform and seeing that growth is really important to you, and you cite kind of business to business, particularly as the model of scaling for Maker. Other than the D3M, which you cite there, I was curious if there were any other avenues or areas you think makers should be exploring to really realize that business to business potential.
Yeah, so jumping into that, I think a lot of it actually is contained in the D3M modules, just like expanded to include real world assets and other types of asset originators. The way we think about it really is like from the crypto side, a lot of the sort of volume and revenue has been only driven by BTC and ETH, and it's sort of difficult to see how that changes going forward. So obviously when there's demand to borrow with those as collateral, that's good for the Maker system. But I don't think on that side, there's necessarily that much like onboarding the next collateral that has sort of diminishing returns. So even if the D3M modules right now aren't producing that much revenue to the system and haven't, I think the potential for those to do so over time is so large that the focus should be a lot on there.
Thanks for that answer. There's a question come up in the chat that I'll just read out. So Kianga's asking if the two of you have a disagreement, how will you resolve that for the purposes of making a voting decision?
Yeah, so first, I think we're very aligned with a lot of our thinking overall, and that's why we're doing this, and sort of our the way we think about Maker is pretty clear. And so in the big picture, I think we are very much aligned, and it won't be a matter of, because the role of delegates, I think, really is to enact like the vision of large token holders, and we sort of can get token holders who are excited about and share the same vision as us. I think in the big picture, that isn't an issue. And then on the smaller stuff, that I think is a real thing that may come up in some sense, but I think those are also the kinds of decisions that like we don't think that it's most important for delegates either to be like correct about. So I think like the most important thing is that we're very aligned on what the future for Maker is, and that really fixes like 99% of all issues we may have.
Thank you. Actually, that's a great segue to another more substantive question probably that I have, which is your view on, at the moment, each of the delegates, the delegates structure is very flat as well, without distinction between whether someone's, a student group or a seasoned professional is spending, a few hours a week or wants to really devote like full time to the work. Yet each of us has the same obligation to vote on every single thing that's put before the community. And, so I wonder how you view that in terms of divide and an approach to basically how does the delegate group function when each person at this time or each organization, is supposed to cast a view, an informed view on, every level of detail and subject matter that comes before the DAO.
Yeah, I can try to answer that. So it's true that like at the moment, the involvement from delegates, it's on a very operational level on average. And I think also the kind of incentive mechanisms for delegates and the reward mechanisms can be definitely improved. So I think there should be delegates that specialize in kind of deep thinking and deep analysis of specific strategic initiatives rather than participating to every single vote that is on a very operational level. And this is what Mika also mentioned in the presentation, that the operational decisions should in some cases be handled more by the core units. So this is the direction we see.
I'll ask a question if no one else has got anything just now. Mika, specifically, I see on Twitter you talk a lot about DAO treasury management. Could you maybe share if you have any ideas regarding the MakerDAO treasury funds and how you would like to see them utilized as a delegate?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one I think we're very much still forming our opinion on. So I think we generally align pretty well with the kind of thinking that Hasu has, for example, posted on how treasury management should work. There is like a real opportunity to extract or get more value from the current collateral base that probably isn't being used, and yeah, there are lots of risks to consider there. But maybe the general answer is that we're still thinking this through, but we do think that there is like everything that Maker onboards tends to people view it as a risk, new things that are being onboarded. But I think there's also tremendous risk in not aggressively pursuing growth, where you have these situations, even though they aren't that sustainable, but in a bull market where someone with a very attractive offer comes in and is able to create like very, very large supply of stable coins very quickly, sort of the MIM kind of idea. And even if those initiatives don't tend to be like that, that's sustainable so far, I think there is a real risk that if Maker doesn't like pursue things more aggressively on that side, that it would lead to like growth stagnating and someone being able to take over. So yeah, that's general way I think we think about like balance sheet risk as well. But yeah, it's something that we're on the specifics we're still thinking through.
Hey guys, it's Frank here from 3F Delegate. I wanted to ask a question about pivoting. Obviously, recently we've seen proposals such as the Endgame to take a pivot. We've seen other ones where, you know, there's an aggressive growth strategy. I believe it's called Task Force, et cetera. So I wanted to get an idea of how you guys feel about companies pivoting. And if you ever had an experience where you own an investment that completely pivoted, or you were working at a company that did the same thing.
Well, I can answer that from my previous experience in the block enterprises. We did quite a pivot in my early days. So I was there 1 year. So I've lived through a pivot when the company was roughly, I would say, 12 employees. And then we basically managed to create a product that was more scalable. And then the company grew to 50 employees. So I do have some experience of living through that. And of course, for an organization of a size Maker, a pivot is much more difficult to achieve. And of course, it needs to be well discussed if that is necessary and on what aspects. But yes, there is some, at least I have some experience living through that environment.
Yeah, I think also we don't think in the Maker context much about like a pivot. We think that there's basically a lot of good ideas and initiatives that people have. It's just like making sure that that the most important one is being pursued at any given moment. Like I think all the right ideas are on the table at the moment. It's just what's feasible, how much risk you're willing to take, and that's something that like Maker, I think as a whole, sort of needs to talk about just the level of risk that the system is willing to have and what risk it's willing to take and that sort of thing more broadly. But yeah, I don't think like there's anything, we're not like very radically coming in and thinking we change everything. It's just all the good ideas are there, and I think it's just honing in and getting the community as much as possible behind like one of them, and then also getting the broader crypto ecosystem to really see that the potential of MakerDAO as well.
Yeah, just
Got it. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, so, no, you go ahead. Sorry.
Just to quickly add that it is clear that especially regarding growth initiatives, the Maker ecosystem is divided currently on where to go. So just to highlight that we think that is the #1 priority for the community to kind of agree on, like what are the most important growth initiatives. Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, I got. I should have phrased my question better, but sorry, I'm out and about, and so I apologize for that. Yeah, I meant to ask. You guys are believers in pivots and doing a company pivot, but yeah, obviously it sounds like you are. So just switching gears real quickly here, what do you guys think is the biggest competitor to Maker and its product, DAI? What do you see out there that the Maker community needs to stay aware of? And how do you think about DAI as product fit and how we should scale going forward? And thanks for answering my questions. I appreciate that.
So Mika can really add, but my personal opinion is like DAI has an incredibly strong network effect already globally as a product. So I don't personally see other stablecoins as like other decentralized stablecoins or want to be decentralized stablecoins as DAI competitors. So I actually think like let's say the large bear case for Maker is that there is no real need for a decentralized stablecoin globally, but rather like the centralized competitors like USDC and others just like win in a way. So I mean, that's the biggest question to me. Like, will there be some kind of, let's say, a macro moment that proves the real utility of decentralized stablecoins? Something, you know, related to regulation or something. So that's how I think. That's how I think about it personally.
Yeah, and this is an interesting discussion. I was going to answer the same thing, and an interesting discussion, sort of going backwards in history and thinking about adding the PSM modules and a time when DAI was sort of trading above $1. I think at the time at least, I was at the camp where I did wish that Maker had a system design that allowed for essentially negative interest rates and and not having this sort of floor on being able to incentivize more of the supply to come onto the market. And now there is like somewhat of a situation where Maker is a wrapper for USDC, and that is what it is right now. And there are good reasons behind it, obviously, but I think over time, like weaning us away from those things as much as possible, even though right now it doesn't look like it really is. I think like over time we should be able to get to a place where the collateral base is a lot more distributed and distributed in ways where people accept that it is actually risk that's being distributed, even if everything isn't like decentralized. So yeah, that's sort of the general thinking.
We still have a few minutes left on the allocated time if anyone has any other questions they want to ask.
I throw a maybe fun one out there, maybe not so fun. What would you say the greatest risk to the protocol is in its present state?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can answer that, and Teemu answered it in his previous one, which is just that DAI doesn't build enough of excitement around the fact that it's the #1 decentralized stablecoin, and things in apathy sort of move towards USDC. I think that is obviously the #1 problem.
Yeah, that's the #1 growth problem in a way, but I don't personally think that like technical risks are obviously that high anymore that they have been in before. But I guess there's a case to be made about like financial risks and kind of understanding the collateral qualities and that stuff. Like of course the emphasis of makers should go from like technical risk and more towards financial risk since kind of the B2B growth and everything is happening. So I guess there can be new risks emerging from the collateral types.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, so still a minute or so left if anyone has a quick question they want to fire in here. If not, we'll move on to the ChicagoDAO team. I think that's a sign that we'll move on then. Thanks, guys. That was really interesting. Glad to have you aboard. And we're now going to move on to ChicagoDAO. So we've got Simon and Madhav from the ChicagoDAO team. Simon, I'm just going to add you as a co-host so you can share your screen, because I think you've also brought some slides.
Yep, sounds good. Let me share my screen real quick here. All right. So, okay. Everyone can see my screen, right?
I can see it, yeah.
Sweet. Okay. First off, everyone, thank you for your time. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Madhav as well. Quick intro, my name is Simon. I'm a third year, well, actually now going to my fourth year at the University of Chicago as an undergrad, studying computer science and national physics. I'm primarily like dev, currently going to be doing data engineering at Meta and Reality Labs over the summer. Just finished up an internship working at a derivatives exchange on Solana, and have prior experience working in full stack and participating in various hackathons. And within the Web3 space in UChicago, I'm one of the founders for like the undergraduate blockchain club, and also one of the core contributors to this DAO that we're starting here. And Madhav.
Yeah, happy to introduce myself as well. Hi guys, my name is Madhav. I'm a rising third year in the college. I'm studying computer science and economics. Most recently, I was working at Alchemy on the product side, and this summer I'll be, doing cloud engineering at CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity firm. I've been involved in the Web3 space since 2018, and have been involved as part of the core team for both ChicagoDAO and the undergraduate blockchain club at UChicago since very early days.
Sweet. So just starting off, just introducing the ChicagoDAO. So we're basically, our main goal here is to connect the various different blockchain communities that are around campus, and creating a community basically where we can learn and build together in the Web3 space. We really want to focus on education and creating facilitating basically entrepreneurial spirit, and also the production of new ideas and projects. So currently, since we started just about 2 months ago, so currently we're still somewhat centralized. We have a core team which has representation from the business school and the law school and the undergraduate population. And we're working on creating like our white paper and like our core like internal governance structure, as well as various initiatives, which I'll get to in the next slide. So currently our initiatives, the first one here that we have is external governance, which is where we currently have a delegation for Uniswap and Compound, and hopefully Maker. And we will get more into our external governance process after this slide. And we're also working on exploring DAO tooling and governance, just philosophy of governance as well, by building our own DAO tooling platform that we've actually started at a hackathon and won a DAO tooling award for. We also have a trading/quant team that is going to be competing in the FTX trading competition, and is working closely with FTX to actually start this trading competition as well. We also have an education initiative where we're going to be doing sort of like a hackathon quarterly with complementing workshops to get people that are beginners on our campus into the Web3 space. We also want to have a research publications on our website, and we'll be pulling information from people on our campus, such as like faculty, alumni, as well as people from all the different schools at the University of Chicago. We also have a hackathon team that's competed in 3 hackathons in the last month. We've won multiple prizes, and we're planning on continuing to attend various hackathons over the summer and into the next year. We're also planning a conference slash hackathon in October in Chicago, and we're hoping to kind of spotlight the Web3 space in Chicago in general. And we're working closely with some trading firms like in Chicago to make this happen. And we also created a job placement platform to basically collect resumes from everyone in the UChicago campus, not just in the blockchain space as well, people that are into trading as well, and or more in finance related, but anything Web3 that could be considered Web3 related. We have a resume book for people that are interested in hiring talent out of UChicago, and we're planning on building this out into an actual platform that other DAOs and university DAOs and clubs could use. And finally, since we have a lot of help from like amazing law students on our DAO, we're also working currently on creating a parallel entity to our DAO that's a 501c3 nonprofit foundation, as well as LLCs, to reduce liability for handling the different things, especially because the 501c3 is going to take a while to establish. We're going to be using LLC for now. And we're also fortunate enough to have pro bono from a large law firm that's in the Web3 space. So now moving more into our external governance, just introducing our team. So our team is diverse in the sense of experience, as well as the backgrounds that they have and what they're currently studying. So we have MBA candidates and law students that have had a lot of experience in the industry, as well as undergraduates with development experience, as well as experience at different like firms as well, finance related firms. So I mean, our as stated before, our kind of like what we bring to the table is this, that in our platform, what we bring to the table is this diverse set of backgrounds and experience, as well as an unbiased look at Maker as well, since we currently are all students and do not have any association or close association to any competitors of Maker. And also, we're also very hungry to learn as well, which is another one of our values. So I'll pass it off to Madhav for the rest of this.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly go ahead and walk through what our external governance team looks like and what our process is to sort of make decisions on, upcoming votes and even sort of proposed votes for the protocols that we're stewards of, which currently include Compound and Uniswap. So our external governance team has been working on these two protocols for the last month or so, maybe a little bit more. Essentially, like Simon said, our governance team is very diverse, has a wide range of perspectives, and within our external governance team, we have a number of people assigned as protocol leads. So, for example, if we were to become Maker delegates, Simon would be the Maker protocol lead, and it would be his responsibility to conducting sort of ongoing monitoring of the protocol, watching the forums, watching the Discord, kind of understanding what the sentiment is around growth, what the sentiment is around proposals. And essentially, when something comes up that would be relevant to the external governance committee and would sort of require discussion and a vote, the protocol lead's responsibility is to create a pre-proposal brief with an outline of the relevant information, and present it to the governance team, who then goes on to deliberate, whether it's async for relatively low priority votes, or sort of same day synchronous meeting for some more high priority votes, over the course of 24 hours. While in parallel, there's a DAO-wide input via the public channel for folks that aren't necessarily voting members of the external governance team, but might still want to provide their input and share what they believe about the future of the protocol. Finally, the governance committee votes and executes the vote via the multi-sig wallet, which is held by ChicagoDAO. And the sort of there's a lot of process here, but really our goal is to reach a unanimous decision and to come to a point where the majority of the governance team can sort of agree on a path forward through a high level of discussion and sort of debate back and forth. That's something that we found has worked really well in the past, just because it allows all the viewpoints to be heard and for us to sort of reach consensus. And there's more policies for whether there's a tiebreaker or all of those different parliamentary procedure type things. In terms of metrics for success and what we're really looking for out of this process, we'd really like to be one of the highest level of vote participation and communication in forums, delegates that Maker has. We already meet weekly consistently, and have high engagement from from both our internal governance team and as we start to expand, we're hoping from the broader DAO as well. Right now we're relatively small on campus and it's mostly just the core team. But as we start to open up, we'd like to bring more and more people into this process. And then the other thing is like continue to have ongoing refinements and improvements to our governance process. And Simon can sort of go to the next slide. We can see what those look like. Yeah, so in terms of our iterations, we hold a monthly meeting where everyone can sort of come and voice updates to this process. Everyone within ChicagoDAO, and there's various proposal processes for changes to any one of these processes that I outlined before. We have different policies in place for quorum and kind of coming to consensus about how this process will be updated. The other thing is that, since we're all students, every couple of years, the slate is sort of changed of students that are part of the DAO. And right now, relatively new, but this is something we've thought a lot about in terms of making sure that, if we, do become a delegate for a protocol, that this is something that is sustainable and a long-term engagement, even if the individual members aren't around after a couple of years. So, we've created processes for succession and making sure that there are always at least 7 of 13 sitting members on the governance team based on a nomination process and a succession process as one member graduates to bring on somebody new who's really interested and excited in the governance process. And the other thing I forgot to mention, for now we've got one external governance team that handles all of our protocols that we're delegates of. But as we grow, one of our biggest plans is to go ahead and split these external governance committees off into separate teams for each protocol, so that folks who are really, really interested and knowledgeable about, say Maker would be able to join a Maker specific team and spend all their time concentrating on that. Simon, if we can go to the next slide. Awesome. And just to briefly outline here some of our core governance values. Like I said, we really like to be sustainable and have this be something that our DAO continues to be known for the long term, regardless of who the individual members are. We'd like to prioritize ChicagoDAO as an organization over any one individual member, any one individual sort of piece of the external governance team. And so that's why we work really hard to reach consensus and to debate it out to the point where we have a unified ChicagoDAO view on any one of these protocols and any one of these decisions. We want to be diligent stewards who are optimistic about the future of these protocols, help them grow, help them move forward, and more broadly, help them innovate in the Web3 space, because that's something that unites all of us as students, is that we're really, really passionate about blockchain and really passionate about the Web3 space in general. So we'd like to see the space grow in the coming years. Something that we've been working hard to do is create a culture of transparency. And we're students, as undergrads, our booth and law school students have industry experience in the past, but as undergrads, like many of the current members of the DAO, are just starting to get experience with these protocols, and especially in the Web3 space. And so something we think a lot about is how can we make this an educational experience? How can we have a focus on growth and knowledge, and having a humility as a DAO and as a team, to make sure that we're always learning and always educating our members about these protocols. And finally, just to follow the ethos of Web3, our DAO is working on building out these on-chain governance protocols to be deployed in the fall. But until then, making sure that each individual member is following an ethos of decentralization and democracy that is sort of so prominent in Web3. But yeah, that's all we have for you today. There's an appendix in the slide deck I'm sure will be shared out later on, where you can check out some of these further links. But yeah, we're ready to take any questions now.
Thank you, Simon and Madhav. I'm just going to open it up to the floor to see if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I'll go first. Hey guys, it's Tim here with FBL, or Feed Black Loops. Excited to see more universities come online. So I'll ask the easy question: what happens when you graduate?
Yeah. So you want to take that, Madhav?
Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, so one of the big things here is that we want to have a shadowing process in which that each person that is about to graduate, which is another big thing here, is like sustainability is one of our biggest priorities because of the way that everyone that's in the DAO within 4 years is going to be graduating. So, but to achieve this sustainability, like one of the biggest things is this shadowing process that we want to have, that when people are moving out within their last quarter or last 2 quarters, that they would be able to find like this nominee that would be able to learn as they're heading out to make sure that like there's a clean pass off. And Madhav, if I missed anything, feel free to add.
Yeah, just that, we're, of course, this process is still being refined, given that, we haven't gone through it yet. But that's something that's one of our strongest like convictions about the space, is that or about our DAO in general, is that we can prioritize the organization and the viewpoint of the DAO over any one individual or any one sort of student that is currently at the university. And so whether it's this process or if it evolves into something else, we'd really like to have a focus on succession and a focus on sustainability throughout the DAO. And I think that there's more than enough interest on campus. And, through a lot of our educational initiatives, each quarter we bring in a cohort of 20 to 30 students, educate them on, what the blockchain space is, development, more on the business side as well, and then sort of onboard them to DAO, which is something we did for the first time this fall, this spring. And, I think we'll have more than an adequate number of students and a continued pipeline of people who are interested in the external governance committee specifically, to continue to make this continue to grow over time.
Yeah, just to also clarify some context, like there's an undergraduate club and there's like a club at Booth and the start of a club at the law school. And like for the undergraduate club, that's like primarily for getting like the very basic beginners and teaching them within a quarter everything they need to know about like the blockchain space, from like DeFi to like actual like smart contract writing, and basically get them up to speed to join the DAO. So we did that for the first time this last quarter in the spring, as Madhav said. And the idea is that we'll have this continual cycle of great talent coming into the DAO that would be also able to take up like the reins for other people that are graduating.
So perhaps in a similar vein, it's really awesome to kind of decentralized decision making, right? Like that's something we find a lot of value in. But I was curious if you had an emergency response procedure, right? Like, so a lot of our votes are planned, hey, this is coming up on this date. But sometimes, right, we call on our delegates because we need to pass a patch through governance rather quickly. How would you handle that with your organizational setup?
Yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and take this one. This is something that we've had to do in the past for a compound vote that came up relatively quickly after we first became delegates for compound. And given that our governance team is so large, right? There's 13 of us that are sort of focused on these 3 protocols. There, at any given time, like of course there will be people busy with work or school or any other number of commitments. And what we've done is, we've set various policies for quorum into our governance, team based on the number of, people that are currently on the team. And we've also built in policies, which are outlined here for, calling a high priority synchronous meeting that's on the same day. And generally, what we found so far is that with 13 people, we're able to, at least achieve the quorum of 7 members present to be able to sort of take a vote on any given subject in a same day meeting for those high priority votes. And I think, we'll probably add some more process to that going forward as our committee expands and as the number of protocols we're stewards of expand. But I think, everyone who joins this committee, there's a process as well to make sure that like this is something that you're willing to commit the time and the energy to. So it's not just anyone who is interested can go ahead and join. There's like a whole nomination process, and the committee votes to be sort of sure that the people who are involved here are going to be active and have the time to sort of commit to this, whether it's, you know, sort of the weekly assigned work or things that sort of come up impromptu, like these emergency votes and these emergency meetings.
Yeah, and also adding on to that, we communicate primarily through Discord, which everyone's active on, and we also actually created a Discord bot specifically for pinging the Discord with, you know, new proposals and all that. For all the like, including Maker, we created an API for that as well, or a bot for that as well. So basically, we also have that as a fallback in case that anyone can see. So it's not just the protocol lead that's pushing it. The bot is literally telling everyone like, hey, we need to do this. Like we have X amount of time to complete this. So with those two things in hand, with the people being active on there and the bot, I think we're able to put together these calls like in the case that we need to do it pretty well. So
Awesome, thank you. Guess I do have a slight follow-up on your mic. Oh no, go ahead, Johnson.
June, do you want to ask a question? I think you might be
Oh
on
yeah,
mute.
super sorry. One question if I was called on. Hey guys, my name is June. I'm from Penn Blockchain, leading our university blockchain group at Penn. Super excited to see more schools getting involved. Apologies for the background noise. I'm currently in the airport on the way to Consensus. So my question, you know, to put it maybe a little more bluntly, is that it's no lie that universities in the past have been, you know, had a pretty poor track record with voting, especially with maybe new projects or new, you know, clubs that have just formed. I think you mentioned that you guys have uni and compound delegation. I know uni is a little messy, but at least for compound front, you see a lot of clubs coming in and, you know, getting delegation from mainly Andreessen, I presume, is where you're from, and you know they seem to delegate to, you know, every club, right? This isn't just directed at ChicagoDAO, but during our earlier days as well, we were pretty inactive, and our participation rates are pretty low with these different groups, right? And we're still trying to continue to do better. Well, I guess my main question is, what will your DAO do now with Maker that will make the participation rate be better than what I think the compound profile is set around like a 30% participation in compound for you guys? I'm just curious, like what incentives will you align, or what will you incentivize your club to essentially have that higher participation rate? I think one of the nice, you know, the great things about Maker is there's the participation like dashboard where you see where, you know, everyone participates, right? And I guess I'm just curious, like how will you motivate your members and have incentives aligned to actually, you know, be active on everything? And, you know, this could be good insight for our club as well.
Thank you, June. I watched your AMA, so it's great to see you in person. Yeah, that's a great question. I think, you know, I think that's like one of the most difficult things here. I understand from your AMA, I believe you guys are doing some sort of bounty system. However, so for us, so again, as Madhav stated before as well, we're still working. We started 2 months ago, and we're working together on creating this process. So what we just presented now is what we have now, which is what we believe is the most sustainable at the moment, which is where one person specifically has the buck stops at a single person, instead of what we started with was we had just like a group of people like ambiguously assigned to a certain protocol like Compound or Uniswap. And what we realized was that if we were able to give one person the specific responsibility, and we also, one of the other things was we created this bot as well to make sure that everyone was informed, not just the leads as well, as a fallback. That was our solution to fix that issue with making sure that we have 100% participation across the board. So on the background as Compound as well, we kind of reevaluated who was involved with that process as well. So, and then assign like the leads as well for getting this like more decentralized also leadership structure for each of the protocols, because initially we're thinking that there'd be just like one like over the entire like external governance team, and then there would be, which is not very decentralized. So which is why we chose this structure. But again, also your feedback is extremely appreciated as well, since you guys have been maker delegates for longer than us as well, and also doing the external governance longer too. So yeah, I guess, I mean, unless Madhav wants to add something here, I would also see, like, do you think that's like a viable solution, having one person having the responsibility there in combination with you know, a bot to make sure everyone knows what's going on? Or do you think bounties is, you know, the for sure way to make everyone do what they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to steal a spotlight from you guys, right? But so I'd be more than happy to maybe like talk offline or after this. I'll reach out on Discord or something. But I will say, like, long story short, our club has a lot of opinions on it, and it's definitely hard finding that way that, you know, incentivize people, but also wants them to, you know, stay involved and interested in the protocol for sure.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, just to touch on what Simon said, like, one of our sort of biggest challenges since the beginning has been finding that balance between efficiency as an organization and decentralization as, you know, something that we sort of strive for in a progressive way. And, you know, I think that's been most exemplified in this process, the external governance process. You know, something that we've been discussing since very early on is a bounty system. And I think that as our legal situation moves toward, I know you guys work with ChicagoDAO, right? That has sort of built that legal framework for you. I think, you know, something that we're planning to do is you know, do the legal incorporation along with some of our partners separately. And that's something that we've been trying to figure out is how to mitigate liability from individuals and figure out how to pay out, do a bounty system without running into a whole host of legal issues. And so I think within the next couple of months, hopefully that can be resolved. And you know, we'd really like to move toward a number of incentives, not just social, but also potentially financial. And, you know, just, it's sort of an ongoing discussion. So we'd love to connect with you and sort of chat more about what Penn does there.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, I'll reach out on Discord.
We still have another few minutes left on the timer if anyone has any other questions to ask. And if not, I'll ask one. Kind of our other university affiliated blockchain clubs, I believe, have had issues with kind of the university charter and not being allowed to own the tokens themselves. Is that something that also applies to your club? Does ChicagoDAO own MKR tokens that they plan to delegate to themselves, or are you going to be reliant on external entities delegating you MKR?
Currently, we have external tokens delegated to us. So we don't hold any maker as ChicagoDAO.
But that may change in the future, just given the way we go with our legal incorporation process. It's just, we're still very nascent.
Kind of an unrelated one, I guess. You all seem to have a lot more technical skills than a lot of the delegates, at least so far. And you did mention in your platform there that you'd be willing to consider governance proposals when appropriate. I was curious if there was anything you've been thinking about building for Maker or otherwise, like that you might be looking to contribute in terms of like actual technical development down the line.
Yeah, no, actually, so one of the big things that we're excited about as we continue to grow like our hacker team on our DAO, as well as with pulling more computer science people from our computer science graduate department, is contributing to open source projects or contributing to you know, different things in the Web3 space as devs, since we want to really like be, one of the big things we want to be able to build as a DAO. So I think down the road, definitely, like that is one of the biggest priorities, is doing something like that, being able to contribute in a technical aspect as well, not just within the realm of voting. So nothing specifically yet, but yeah.
That's neat. I dropped a link in the chat for basically a good kind of example of this, I guess, which was like we had this issue of returning funds to our surplus buffer. There's some technicalities that have to be done. So basically someone permissionlessly set up a contract to do it for it. So now even core units that are less sophisticated can just send a DAI to this particular address. So yeah, I think there's a ton of fun opportunities like that where like just by being around in the maker ecosystem, you'll see something that you might be able to put the team to work. Are you muted there, sorry?
Yeah, I was saying that that's very exciting. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
Thanks, guys. My time has just pinged, so unless anyone's got any more questions, I think that's us at the end of our half-hour period. So I'd just like to thank both sets of delegates for coming along today and everyone that came and asked questions and listened in. This call will be going up on YouTube shortly, and we look forward to getting you guys live on the voting portal. And I'll get in touch with both sets of delegates in order to organise that in the next day or so.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time.